Hi everyone. Okay, I'm clearly really excited about this. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Hi everyone. So today I will be talking about my 2021 goals and my book list. So I hope you guys enjoy and maybe get something out of this. I don't know, I'm really doing this more for myself right now, to keep track of my progress and everything. So yeah. So my primary goal in 2021 is to read 50 books. I really want to do this because I wanted to do this in 2020, but I only read like almost 10 books, which is rather disappointing compared to what I wanted to do. So 50 books, which is like 2 books a month, a little over depending on which month and so on. So yeah, the main thing here is that I don't know how I'm going to acquire a lot of these books. I already have a bunch of books I've been wanting to read that's just sitting on my shelf doing nothing. So those are my number one priority. And then I have some Audible books and some Audible credits on my Audible account. So I'll also talk about those ones, and then maybe I'll talk about some books that I am most likely going to purchase or borrow. Enjoy. So mind you, a lot of these books I did start to read, but I put them down primarily because of school. School is like the number one thing that takes up my most of my time. I am in university. So yeah, so let's start on the nonfiction books. So I'm just going to first start off with some of the science books that I will be reading. The first book is The Order of Time by Carlo. Hello, it's editing me. I just want to quickly apologize if I mispronounce anyone's names. I am not the greatest at that, unfortunately. And this book basically talks about time and what is time, essentially the order of it. You know, we perceive time as a linear as a linear entity essentially, but it could be more than that. So it's a really good book. I read half of it, as you guys can see. The thing is with this book, I am not that educated in physics. I've took a couple of physics courses, but I'm not by no means my physics major or anything, or am I expert in it. So although I've read half of the book, I'd say I read that same half twice, just because I have to keep rereading chapters to really understand and grasp onto what the author is conveying in this book. So I do intend on finishing this book. I'm really excited. It talks about like the philosophy, science, and literature of time. So it's also really interesting. So pretty excited about this. I'll also be looking into The Nature of Space and Time by Stephen Hawking and Roger Penrose. This one I'm intimidated, but I'm also pretty excited to look into. I mean, it's a really popular book. A lot of people have read it. It's a bestseller essentially, but I mean, again, there's some stuff that I just will have troubles with, so this will probably take a while to read despite how small it is. Moving away from not astronomy, physics. This book is actually a book that was assigned in university, but I actually never read it. This is The Optimistic Environmentalist. It's actually from a local author here in Vancouver. It's by David R. Boyd, and it's Progressing Towards a Greener Future. So essentially a lot of books that we read about like the environment, essentially climate change, global warming, so on and so forth, they tend to take on a really pessimistic, urgent view on things, that we need to act quick and so on, and we do. But this author decides to look at some of the comebacks essentially that nature has made throughout the years because of certain policies and improvements that we have made. So it's a really interesting read. I read a bit of it, but I really did enjoy it nonetheless. On that topic, this one is called Renewable Energy by Bruce Usher. And this talks about renewable energy, the economics of it, the types of renewable energy, and so on. I am interested in renewable energy. This is from a professor at Columbia University, so that's pretty cool. This book, I bought this 2 years ago and I still haven't finished reading it. This is one of those books that will stick to you. The content is so interesting. It's evolutionary biology. This is Other Minds by Peter Godfrey Smith. This is The Octopus, the Sea, and the Deep Origins of the Consciousness. It talks about the origins of the consciousness, where it came from, through an evolutionary standpoint. So very interesting. So excited to finally finish this book. Please finish this book. This is Paleo Fantasy by Marlene Zuk. What evolution really tells us about sex, diet, and how we live. So another thing I'm really excited to read. And these are international bestsellers. Everyone has heard of them, but I haven't finished reading them, despite the fact that, again, bought these 2 years ago. First one, Sapiens. Need I say more? It's just like a brief history of humankind. And yeah, I've read a portion of it, but clearly it's quite the read. But I don't think it's anything challenging. It's a really interesting read nonetheless. So that, and then the third book, I know there's a 3-book series. I will probably read the first one too in 2021, but this is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Yeah. Okay, now moving on to self-help. So I have only 4 books. I used to be really into self-help, but I don't know. I just kind of got over it. This is Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. I got this as a gift and I'm really thankful because I feel like although I know how to talk and communicate with people, I don't know how to deliver essentially. So I'm really excited to start reading this. This is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Hi, I'm just currently editing the video and his name is pronounced Darren Hardy, not Darian Hardy. I don't know why I keep mispronouncing names. I apologize. You know, again, I'm not really into self-help, but even despite the fact that I have a lot of self-help books, this one, though, a lot of people keep recommending, and I like the idea of like the compounding effect in economics. So applying that to life. This is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. And I did start reading this, but put it down for unknown reasons. And finally, The Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. I don't know if I will be that interested in this, but my brother had this book, and he liked it, so I think I may like it. So that's all for self-help. Really quick. Now let's get on to philosophy. So the first book is The Existentialist Survival Guide. I got this back when I was going through my existential OCD phase in the beginning of this year. For the first half of this year, I was going through like this existential crisis, and I got this book. It talks about some really key points that I still ponder about till this very day. It talks about anxiety, depression, death, mortality, and so on. I'm very stoked about this book. This one I started reading yesterday. I am almost halfway there, and this is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and it is talking about his experience at the Nazi concentration camps and essentially about the psychology of the mind and how about like his perceived meaning of life and what we can take out of it. So far I'm really enjoying this book. It is a difficult read, but I think it's worth it. Definitely. This one is by Jean-Paul Sartre. No clue how to say his last name. Existentialism is a humanism. And this is one of his lectures he did, and so it's a short read, so I think this one may just take a day to read. And then finally, this one's gonna take like an entire month. I'm telling you, this is a really difficult read. I tried reading this. It's just so difficult. This is The Birth of Tragedy by Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche. Oh my gosh, look how thin the book is, but look at the text, and it is such a difficult read. Like, I don't know what he's saying, but I'm going to give this a try. It's going to be a challenge nonetheless. And then finally, let's get on to fiction. I do hope that when I'm done with the non-fiction, or, you know, I think this is only around like 25 books, I will fill the rest in with fiction. I'm really enjoying fiction nowadays. So this is Stoner by John Williams. I do have the intention, to read this after Man's Search for Meaning. So I'm so excited to start this, like maybe next week. This is The Age of Reason by Jean-Paul Sartre. This is actually really interesting because it's about this guy who has a mistress, and she gets pregnant, and he's pushing hard to get an abortion. So it talks about the ethics of that, and I think this will be a very, very interesting, thoughtful, insightful read. So pretty cool. This one of my favorite thriller movies is American Psycho, and so I've watched American Psycho a couple of times, but I've never read the book, so I'm pretty curious. And finally, I did finish Game of Thrones in the beginning of 2020, but I was so extremely disappointed with the last 2 seasons, and I cannot accept the disaster that D&D left us with. So I'm gonna read the Game of Thrones series because I'm not going to sit down and accept that ending. I'm gonna read these, and then I'm going to read the last 2 books by George R. Martin. And also, it's not here, but Fire and Blood, I have intentions of reading that too. Now on to Audible books. I have my little notebook here. So in terms of Audible, the narrator's voice matters to me, and I've only ever finished a couple of books on Audible, but I do have a lot of Audible credits because I forgot to cancel my subscription, so I do want to use those up. So the first book is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Guys, I would have never read this book, but the way he narrates the book is just absolutely amazing. I love it. Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was one day reading the biography of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was like, this is such an interesting life. Like, from an immigrant from, Austria to a bodybuilder in America to the governor of California, not the United States, world-renowned actor. Like, what is it? And so as a result, I was like, this guy needs to have a book, and he did. He wrote a book. So I'm reading the Audible version of it because he does narrate some chapters of it, and I love the way he speaks. So that's another book. Atomic Habits by James Clear. I listened to half of that book. It's good. And finally, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I did listen to half of the Audible, but I think I may just pick up the physical copy because I don't know if I'm liking the narrator's take on the book. For books that I have the intentions of reading, it's gonna be quite a list, so hang in there. I'll move off to the side so I can pop the book over here. Book number 1, in no particular order, it's just whatever I feel like in that week. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I love books, and this is about burning books, so it's gonna be cool. The Dune series, I really want to read that. Cosmos by Carl Sagan. I love astronomy, cosmology, so on and so forth. The Stranger by Albert Camus. I don't know how to pronounce last names, clearly. The Myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus. By Albert Camus. Camus. Who gave me access to a phone? This is embarrassing. Trials of Socrates by Plato. It's not really a book, but I do really want to read. I'm not sure how how I will read the book, but yes, Trials of Socrates. The Gulag by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I'm so sorry for butchering that last name. Fear and Trembling by Soren Kierkegaard. And finally, The Birth of Tragedy by Friedrich Nietzsche. Wait, did I have that book? I do have that book. I don't know why I wrote this down. It's right here. But these are the books that I do want to read. And then, of course, some other random ones I may just sprinkle in. So this is the total of books that I have right now that I do intend on reading. And as the weeks go on, I may find other books I'm interested in. So yeah, I thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so excited to start this journey. And yeah, I'll see you next week or the week after. Bye!